Welcome back. In episode 1, Vaughn spoke about undergraduate life at Indiana University, some of his business adventures, then his bike accident, which threw him off the path he intended. His road to recovery was long, but he started work and was later let go. He always planned on going back to law school, so we get back to him where he struggles with learning due to his injuries. Here is the second and final portion of our discussion with Vaughn Walmsley.
Gotcha.
Okay, so and that's even harder. When I came back, my problems would be organization, speech, basically those two things alone, and understanding complex concepts. And that's exactly what you have to be good at to law school. So my first year of law school.
So let's just put it in perspective. You're going to graduate in May. Did you start a year, like the year and a half later? Because you had a year off, then you went in like September of the following year?
I started a year. I think I missed a year and then went the following.
Okay, so it was like a little over 2 years by the time that it was over.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, so I got in there, and it took me 5 years to get through law school.
Right.
Normally it takes 3. I got in 83 at fall, I think. It may have been 84. And the first year, I couldn't understand anything. They'd call me. That's what they do in law school. It's like I'm on TV, these law schools.
Mr. Walmsley.
And the class would just laugh because I sounded like I was from Mexico because my occlusion got changed with my jaw got broke and my speech center got messed up in my front left parietal lobe.
Right.
So I sounded Mexican. And interestingly, I speak a little Spanish. I took Spanish. I could speak Spanish. I could remember Spanish.
El abogado.
Abogado.
Yo entiendo la lengua española para 2 años en mi escuela de primo a 50 años, ¿sí? ¿Comprende?
Sí, por supuesto.
Perfecto.
Más o menos.
Más o menos.
Más o menos.
Always a little más o menos and cerveza in there.
Yeah, cerveza.
Dos cerveza más o menos.
So basically, I got straight after the first semester.
But so you had a perfect streak going, though.
So you flagged.
Yeah.
Flag.
And, it's interesting. The one thing
kids don't do this.
I had several good friends, Sean Maloney, Jim Nolan, a couple other guys that took me under their arms, felt sorry for me. They let me in their law. They have their own little law groups, review groups.
Right.
Top dogs in our class. They took me under their wings. They tried to help me. I was getting so frustrated because I couldn't keep my organization. And when the day of the test would come, they say it'll all come clear on the day of the exam. It didn't come clear for me. It got more confusing. The pressure made things worse. And I remember Sean Maloney said, Vaughn, it was during income tax with Professor Oliver, Oliver Winery. That's his down in 30. That's my professor. He owned that.
Wow. Okay.
And Sean goes, Vaughn, do not leave this test. He was sitting in the back. I was up front more. He says, I'll stop you if you try to leave because I love these guys. And they liked me. And I got up. I went up to talk to Professor Oliver. I said, Professor Oliver, I don't understand this. He goes, Vaughn, just write something down. He goes, I know you know this stuff. Just write something down, what you understand. He goes, you'll pass. I go, I can't do it. I was that much of a perfectionist. I couldn't accept it unless it was good performance. I said, I'm out of here.
So you walked out.
I walked out.
Crashed and burned.
I walked out. And it wasn't the first test I walked out. It was so frustrating. I went over to the next. I tried to walk out. Sean tried to trip me. He tried to grab me.
Great. You tripped the guy that's had a major accident.
He's my good friend, a red-haired guy. He went,
Yeah, but he was thinking the best for you.
Yeah, he was. And he basically tried to stop me. And I went over to Nick's.
And for people who don't know, from not around here, Nick's is actually a bar.
Right.
It's a well-known bar at IU.
IU, and I'm drinking over there. And I wasn't a heavy partier at IU. That's why I lived. That's why I survived that accident. I was an all-American kid, didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't do anything, didn't drink. Did my work, worked out, and I was what I thought was a good guy. I came over there, and Sean goes, Professor Oliver wants you to take the test again. And I'm like, are you serious? Can I quit this place? Can I just leave? Can I just go away and be a loser? Can I just... No, he wants you to take it. He's going to Australia. He wants you to take it. So I take the test, and not surprisingly, I get a B on it. Okay?
Wow.
That was the turning point. I started getting better. And then I started getting, so the following year, I started getting C's and B's instead of F's, straight F's. I actually went from F's to C's and D's.
Were you still at IU at that point?
Yeah, staying at
Okay.
IU.
So your first year of law school, you're crashing and
there.
burning, but you start to pull out. Second year, you're now in a pretty good shape. You're
Well, C's and D's, so in great shape.
okay. So you're
trying
doing better.
I'm trying to pull up a .05 GPA for the first year. It was kind of hard, but by the third year I'm done. I started that RV company up in Elkhart.
In the third year of law school.
Yeah, and so I needed to. I was commuting from Elkhart to Bloomington, going back and forth, running my law firm and this RV company at the same time. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. I got to transfer up to Notre Dame. And so I go to my girlfriend and Dean Fromm, who talks. She works for him. She's his secretary. And he says, well, I'll write a letter to them. We'll see if we can get you up there. So a couple weeks go by, and he calls me in his office. He was dean of students.
Sure.
And Leonard Fromm, I love him. He's no longer with us. He died of cancer. But he went up to bat for me. He said, Vaughn, they said, Dean Fromm said, Vaughn, they weren't really impressed with your
GPA.
GPA. And he goes, he goes, I want you to go up to meet with them. I think they'll be impressed with you. I said, and I'm still I'm not 100% yet, but I'm getting there. I go, okay, I'll do it. You can always send me in, coach. So I go up there, and there's Dean Link and Dean McLean. Dean Link's the head of the law school, and McLean's dean of students, like Dean Fromm was down at IU. And I go in and sit in front of these two guys, and they said, now, Vaughn, you realize most of our students are in like 90th percentile on their LSATs, right? And I go, yeah. So I got that. They go, yeah, we know. But most of our students also have 4.0 GPAs, and yours is 1.8.
Right.
I said, well, I can explain that. And then I told them the story, but I told you guys, I've been describing to you guys what happened to me. And they said, Vaughn, why don't you go out in the hall for a little bit? And so I go out in the hall. It seemed like I was probably out there 5 minutes. It seemed like 5 hours. And they called me back in. They said, Vaughn, we're a Christian school, and we're going to give you a shot. But if your grades are anything like they are down at IU, we're down at IU, we're sending you back on a rail.
Right.
So that was in the fall of 1987.
But this brings up a great point. Too many people automatically assume, hey, I'm not going to be able to do something. Mm-hmm. But trying and putting yourself out there and getting the opportunity. There are always opportunities out there.
Yep.
And you just have to, be confident in yourself, and you got to try.
Right.
And that's what's great about your story.
And, I'll tell you, a good friend of mine, Bob Dovetsky, is my roommate in law school. Bob said 90% of everything is showing up.
Yep. That's true.
He said, and then he said, you have to focus on, and this is important for our audience, you have to focus on the 10% that makes you a winner or a loser.
Right.
What is the bottom line? What is the main thing you got to accomplish here, and do really good at that? So I adopted that mentality. So when it came time to
and you get to Notre Dame now. Now you're getting through school, and we want to make sure, because I know you're on a tight schedule. But you're getting through school, and now you're starting to do well, and you get out of school. I was just hoping you could kind of get us through that, so we can get you to the point where you're saying, hey, this is kind of what I was doing, what I'm doing now, and being successful at.
So basically, I did do better. I got straight A's that semester.
Hey, all right.
And I had to, because the RV industry went under October 19th, 1987 was Black Monday, and the bank pulled my line of credit. My parents had to secure their house. So I'm using my tuition money, running around buying Thetford refrigerators or toilets and middle bed hardwood cabinets, and shoving them in these RVs that are already pre-sold. Got $120,000 back. I'm getting law school, running from Elkhart to Notre Dame to South Bend. Sold 8 units, got $120,000 out of them. Paid the line of credit off, got my parents' house back.
Yeah.
Then lived in the basement of the Notre Dame law school, pretty much. I mean, not literally, but I was there 24 hours a day, and that's how I got. When your butt's on the line, that's when you perform.
Because everybody always thinks when you're successful, oh, you had it so easy.
No, it was hard.
Everything was good.
I mean, when I first started at IU, I could study 19 hours a day and couldn't remember anything.
Right. That must have made you feel just super, right?
Yeah, it was very discouraging. But when I graduated, and And then basically I was going to take the bar exam, and my roommate said he was going to come in late. A little later, I said, "Don't wake me up." He woke me up. I reset my alarm. I got there an hour late. I missed passing by the first time on the bar by 5 points.
Because you're an hour late.
Yeah.
How long is the bar exam?
2 days.
So it's 2 days. So you missed.
I was an hour late, but I missed the introduction to it, and they told you got to go at 12:30, not 12. So I handed it in at 12. The exam, I put it in this. They fingerprint and all this, very secure. I put it in the slot, and then I went and sat down. No one else is getting up, and I'm like, because I missed the instructions.
So an hour late and a half hour less.
A 4.5 hours stretch. I missed an hour and a half, and it was torts and contracts, which is the hardest part of the test.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Tony, it's messed up.
That is messed up.
But so I didn't pass the bar the first time. I passed. I took it again. Passed it the second time. And my GPA when I graduated was probably 2.1, 2.2. It was. I mean, I pulled it up, but just barely above a C.
Your life story almost sounds like full of second chances.
The Lord's been good to me.
Second chance to live.
Yep.
Second chance for law school. Second chance to pass the bar.
Right. Good point.
I don't know how many times you've been married, but if you're married twice, then I'll put that in there.
Yeah.
Only married once?
No, twice. Unfortunately.
Okay. Second chance.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll take it as a positive.
Yeah, we have a good God. He gives us a lot of grace. Yeah, I do. Couldn't get a job. Literally, a good friend of mine, Terry Plank, loaned me money to buy his ugly suit, and I literally wore my shoes. I'm not kidding. I wore the soles walking downtown. I'm not lying. I wore the bottom of my soles out on my shoes.
I've never done that.
Okay, I mean, there's holes in the inside of them. Okay, and I finally got a job, Stewart & Stewart here in Carmel.
Stewart & Stewart right up the road.
Yeah. In fact, I got a job as deputy prosecutor in Madison County. And then I did a couple of trials. I wasn't even that good. I think I won 1 out of 4. It's a lot harder when you.
Let's not put that on the commercial.
You're beyond reasonable doubt. It's a different standard than
I know. I'm
civil,
just messing
right?
with you.
But then they saw me and they thought I had a lot of trial experience, which I had some. They hired me and they gave me all their hard cases, and I was up for it. I won most of them. I became their
hard cases, personal injury cases.
Yep.
Because I had...
And it's a couple of criminal, where I was defending criminals.
Okay. Because when I heard your stuff on the news...
Alleged criminals.
When I heard your stuff on the news, you made it kind of like your life mission that personal injury, because of your personal story of being injured, that you wanted to help others out.
Well, I learned that people that are cruising along in their life and they get knocked off, they get off track, which is like happened to me. It's really hard to get back on track, and I knew that. And the people that, a lot of people that call me, hire personal injury attorneys, they're the ones that their lives they don't know attorneys, and they're hanging on to paycheck to paycheck. When you hit them and they get hurt,
yep,
they don't have any money coming in.
It's devastational.
It gets them off, and so I made that my mission, was to help people that would find themselves in the situation I found myself.
How many cases have you actually? I don't know if
over 4,000
litigated.
I haven't litigated, but I've represented over 4,000 people.
4,000. So if you just multiply that times the number of people times the number of people affected by those people,
the Lord's used.
You've helped thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah, and it's been a great privilege. It's been a great honor, and I'm very happy with my career that I've been able to do this. The biggest, but one overriding thing is, as I was becoming more, the first time I've had multi-million-dollar settlements all over the country, and I'm talking big settlements.
What's your largest? Can I ask that?
7 figures. I'll say 7 figures.
Okay.
I've had several of those, and I've gone against incredible odds. I've taken 8 lawyers on down in Dallas, Texas.
Really?
I'm sorry, in Las Vegas, Nevada. And
oh no!
But at least you're not bitter.
Yeah.
I'm not bitter at all. I think it's fun. So I think I've only lost maybe 5 or 6 trials in 30 years.
Wow.
So I've been blessed. I'm quick on my feet because of my accident and the way I had to rethink. I had to reorganize how I think. And it's like that movie, What About Bob? Take baby steps. And I restructured my brain the way I analyze stuff. Mm-hmm. And so since then, I started making a bunch of money in personal injury. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this money? Well, first of all, I left a firm that I thought they needed better organization software. So I hired a couple programmers to start a software company called Case Pacer. Actually, it's called PITS, Personal Injury Tracking System, which Tony's involved with. And then He's steering the whole thing now. I trust him. That's my baby. I put lots of money, lots of time in that. Probably 10 years total.
Sure.
That was my dream. And the whole purpose of that software was to do a better job for the client. It prints out what needs to be done in every case every day. So, and I got patents on it. And so I used a lot of the money I was making in my personal injuries to invest in that software company, do a better job for my clients. And I'm like, and the software allowed me to do more cases, so I'm making even more money. So I'm like, well, I think I'll start another software company. So I got involved with a company called SmartFile. It's a file sharing system on the internet. And then I'm like, okay, well, I got more money. What am I going to do with that? Well, I'm going to start buying real estate. So I go back to my old first love. I started buying real estate, and I did really well in real estate. I mean, I made it's a lot more money than I can make as a personal injury attorney. I make a lot of money as a personal injury attorney, but I can make 10 times that in real estate. I'm building the big box warehouses at Amazon.
Right. You're talking about that.
E-commerce, and I just bought another facility, another park down in Memphis. I may buy one in Columbus, Ohio. I've got one here in Indianapolis.
Conversations that we continue to have with people is that their path isn't just a clear, straight shot to one thing.
Oh.
And yours, you got knocked off the path, then got kicked down the road, and then it got knocked again, and you keep jumping back, right? It's real estate, it's painting, it's law, it's, oh my gosh, my life's over. Hey, my life's back. Now I'm going to be a lawyer. Hey, I want an RV company. And so the whole idea is just to open these kids' minds up to there's so many opportunities out there, so many different ways to get there, and it's not always a straight shot.
I agree with that 100%. And just never give up. Never give up.
Never give up.
But don't try to do it on your own.
All the books that, we went through one season, we had like 6 or 7 books. Almost every one of those books says exactly that same thing. Mm-hmm. If they would have given up, they wouldn't be the person that they were. If they wouldn't give it up, it just keeps saying it over and over. And you're a great example of that.
Thank you. I think the thing that you need to realize is you're not in control. And if you think you're in control, then you think you can guide your path.
Right.
You'll get frustrated when you get off what you think your path should be.
Any other ideas on money? Let you maybe something you've taught your kids about money?
Well, I've done a bad job.
Okay. Well, it's good that you're honest about it, right?
Yeah. I mean, kids, it's hard to educate them, but my daughter is getting her first job at 15. She's doing okay. My son is now working with my real estate endeavors. He's a sharp kid, sharp young man. He's 28.
Yeah.
As far as money goes, use the experts. I always try to learn from people. I mean,
that have a good knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're going to be trying to do a tax savings, talk to a tax lawyer.
Yeah.
If you're going to try to talk to an accountant, if you really have some complex accounting things you don't understand, don't ever think you can do it all.
Right.
I'm known by people who do work with me as someone who thinks he has to know it all, and I'm just now letting my fist open up a little bit and giving other people delegating.
Right.
So my advice would be you need to learn how to delegate. And when you delegate, make sure you're delegating to someone who has character.
That's a big one.
Yeah. The number one thing, you have to delegate. You can't do everything. So when you do delegate, make sure you have references, make sure you've vetted the person you've talked to, make sure their character, talk to them. Where do you go to church? You have a family, guys that have had 3 wives and 6 girlfriends, and they've filed bankruptcy 3 times. You don't really want them as your partner. You don't want to give them a lot of authority.
So character, ethics, and those different types of things are very important.
That's very important.
On the last podcast, one of the things we said was, if you are planning from the tax perspective, you can't do it on April 14th and expect to get a big tax refund on the 15th. You got to do it well in advance. I tell people all the time, if you don't get it in September before the year ends, you're probably a little too late because you got to move things around and get things lined up. But Tony, anything you want to say? You have been incredibly quiet. I'm looking here at the monitor and I have a straight line, which...
Yeah, what in the heck is going on here? I was just listening to the story, trying to soak it up.
And I think you heard some new stuff, right?
Heard some new stuff. I've heard part of the story before, not all the story. I'm sure it's still not all the story.
There's a lot there.
There's a lot left. On the kids piece, I think it's just such a big taboo thing historically. Is like when I was growing up, my mom and dad started a business in the house, and I really didn't feel like I was allowed to ask how much, Dad, how much do you
make?
Mom make?
Or...
How much does the company make? And if I did ask that, I wouldn't get a straight answer.
Right.
So I just kind of learned that that's not something you ask about. And not understanding that as a kid is horrible, because then you grow up and you get the same thing. You end up graduating from high school or college, and you get in your job and you have no idea how to manage money. Mm-hmm. Money is an important piece, although I say money is like air, because it's no big deal unless you're not getting any.
Right.
Exactly.
But the kids, to learn how to, the power of compounding and investing, saving, the power of donating some of your money to a cause of your choice, of your liking, makes you feel good inside. But then it also gives you another incentive to save and have more, so you can share more.
Do you want to hear something on compounding I just read the other day? $97 billion of the $100 billion that Warren Buffett made was after the age of 65.
Wow.
And he started investing when he was 10. And the whole point of this book was you got to compound, because if you don't compound, you'll never get there. So I just thought that was so amazing. Sorry to interrupt.
No, and I'd say on top of that is the whole, the lifestyle creep. So you start getting more and you start buying more because you always want to buy something more. And you got to make sure you're paying yourself and saving first, and don't spend it all, because when you have one of those corrections like we're talking about with the market with Black Monday.
And you got crushed.
And you get crushed. And a lot of people get crushed because they don't have that emergency fund. I can't remember what the percentage is in the U.S., but
sometimes, it's
people that can't handle a $400 emergency spend is like 70-80% of America or something.
But what's crazy is the average that individuals at a lower socioeconomic level spend on the lotto a year is over $400. So it's really about behavior and making sure that you make better decisions. But, there's a lot tied up in that whole comment too.
Oh,
so.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway.
But anyway, I know it's just a little bit after the time that you want to get out of here. I want to thank you, Mr. Walmsley, for being here.
Thank you.
An incredibly interesting store, second chances, and having people hear some of that is very helpful. So until the next time, we thank everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks for being here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on the podcast. We'll see you next time for more Money with Mac and G.